Welcome to the Black Marriage and Family Therapy Matters podcast, where we connect Black families to Black therapists. On Mondays, you will receive direct therapeutic support from a licensed therapist or professional connected to the mental health field. They will provide therapeutic and educational resources to help you have a healthier relationship with your family members. On Wednesdays, you will receive direct tips and resources to help you get through the stuck places that prevent many people from having the relationships with their families and significant others that they desire. On Fridays, we want you to visit our blog, which can be found at www.blackmftmatters.com, which holds additional resources and action steps that you can begin implementing immediately to improve your relationships. This is necessary because we love that you are listening, but we want you to take action too. While you are there, please grab our A to Z Relationship Bootcamp and be provided with the skills you need to immediately communicate better within your relationships. Please note that while the therapists on podcasts are therapists, they do not serve as your therapist unless you have signed a confidential agreement with them confirming that relationship. Thank you in advance for listening, and we hope you are inspired. All right, it's time for the show. Here is your host, Dr. Connie Omari.
Hey, welcome to the Black Marriage and Family Therapy Matters podcast, where we connect Black families to Black therapists. Today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Kiara Jones. Hi, Miss Jones.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good.
Awesome. Before we start, can I please tell my audience a little bit about you?
Absolutely.
All right. Miss Jones is a registered mental health counseling intern in Florida. She works as a therapist with a trauma treatment team that focuses on healing survivors of sexual, physical, verbal, and substance abuse exposure and child neglect. Although Ms. Jones' passion is with working with at-risk youth, she provides services to survivors ages 4 to 65 years old. Ms. Jones started So Therapist AF in August of 2019 after noticing a trend in mental health providers experiencing burnout, secondary trauma, juggling personal lives, sometimes including an overwhelming caseload, and setting aside fruitful hobbies and neglecting their own self-care. Mrs. Jones also experienced needing to pour back into her own cup as well and began creating reminders, affirmations, and love notes to self for healers of all kinds that are in great need of increasing their own self-care routines. In addition to her message of radical self-care, Ms. Jones urges her Instagram community support, show kindness, and uplift each other after having a heartfelt conversation with her best friend about community over competition. I love that.
Yes.
Ms. Jones continues her mission through So Therapist AF to create a conscious collective of passionate, empathic humans who have to practice taking a moment for themselves as they continue to help others. Wow, Miss Jones, this is amazing.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. Can you tell me a little bit more about that conversation that you had with your best friend?
Yes, absolutely. So my best friend is practicing to become a doula.
Oh, wow.
Yes, a birth doula. And
okay.
Her demographic is the Black community, and also the LGBTQ community.
Wow.
So in speaking with her about her new goals and dreams, and then we're bouncing things off of each other as far as my goals and dreams with my page, we talked about uplifting each other and what true friendship looks like, that support amongst Black women. It's really important for us to lean on each other, to share. We all have our own niches and gifts, right? So it may be something that another clinician may know that I'm not as well versed in. Coming to the table and talking with each other and seeing how we can collaborate and help one of each other is so important and so valuable.
That is, yes.
Exactly. So again, that community, building that solid community over competition. We are not against one of each other. We're here to build up one another. So
I love that.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that. And, you know, I have a 7-month-old baby myself, and I'm telling you, having a doula made all the difference.
That is awesome.
Yes. And it's amazing to see how, because I didn't have, I guess, you know, I'm a mental health clinician myself, but I didn't have that mental health like influence very much. I mean, but the doula that I had was great. But I think that's so awesome that the two of you are working together, because there needs to be a balance of physical, you know, it's a lot of physical support that's needed, but also a lot of mental support that's needed.
Absolutely. Yes. So that's also something else that when a clinician or a mental health service does follow the page, or just anybody, they like posts or say, thank you for sharing this. And I immediately find it important to say, you know, thank you for allowing me to share and be that support, and just find that community over competition piece. Yes.
I love that. And I have to admit, I've actually snooped on your page a little bit too after following you, and just been like, wow, I needed that.
Yes.
You know, because it's hard out here, you know, doing this type of work, and like you said, needing to fill your own cup so that we can fill each other's cup.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Right. And while we have a lot of therapists who listen to this show, we also obviously are out here for the clients and the people who. So can you speak a little bit more to that? I know you said you work with trauma, and then you are big on helping people empower themselves and increase their own self-care routines. So how would you say, for someone who's been through a traumatic event, how important is it for them to understand self-care?
Well, it's vastly important, because when we as people, even as Black people, go through a traumatic experience, it can feel as if we're suffocating. It can feel as if we're stuck in silence. Generationally, we have this mindset as if we're supposed to put on that game face. We're okay. Everything's okay. I'm going to take care of it. And although that's awesome and powerful, it's just as important to seek guidance, ask for help, set boundaries. You know, if your plate is overflowing with things, being honest with the people around you, your support system, and just say, hey, I may need a little bit of help, or hey, you know, right now I won't be able to do that. That's a big, huge part of self-care, those boundaries. Often we overlook that. Yes, we do. Yes, but it's important, because if we don't create boundaries, then, you know, that's when those flooding of emotions come in, of being resentful or frustrated or angry because we're doing too much. Yes. You know, and as far as coping, what I want my families to know, or any family to know, is that coping and radical self-care can look like anything, as long as it's done in a healthy manner, right? Okay. But it can be for any amount of time, right? So, right. Okay. Yeah. So allowing that sacred time and that sacred space for you, whether it's 30 minutes to listen to a podcast, or listen to jazz or music, or even 15 minutes if a person is into meditating or doing affirmations, that could be helpful as well, or a nap. Yes, I love that. Yes. Anything as simple as a nap is just whatever works for you to help you feel refreshed and reset, and feel as if you have enough energy in your cup, you know, because we can't help others if we don't have that energy from within. Right. So it's important for us to truly reset, and it can look like anything. I got it. I love it. And with you mentioning that, it's so funny, because I used to work myself to death. And I used to feel like if I wasn't busy, it didn't matter if what I was doing was productive. It didn't matter if I had good outcomes. I just had to keep going. Yes. And the funny thing is, since I start, like, the weekends, I don't work on the weekends. Like, I have set, you know, I don't do it. And I have found that just taking that time off, I'm actually more productive. I get more done. I have better outcomes. And I never realized I was neglecting my own self-care. Right. Right. and again, it's as if we start feeling guilty
Yes.
for resting or recuperating or taking that time, because we're so into the mix of moving and doing and, doing for others that we forget that self-care is not selfish.
Right. Can you please break down the difference? Because people don't know that. I struggle with that. What is the difference between self-care and selfish?
Exactly. So again, self-care can look like spending time or doing things for you. If we're in a family setting, getting the youth involved. Maybe they can pick a fun activity or something, that they like to learn or do, be creative, artistic. But selfish is more so like, okay, well, I'm doing this. It's done in a snippy way. Like, I'm doing this, that's it.
Right. Right.
But setting those boundaries and asking for what you need in the moment doesn't have to be a confrontational conversation.
Love it.
Like, we're in a way owed that time to rest, because we do for others all day. We're present. We're there. We show up. But it's important for us to show up for ourselves too when we need it.
Love it. Love it. So you've mentioned boundaries a couple of times.
Yes.
And so what I find is that people either cut people off,
right,
or they have like no boundaries whatsoever. So they kill themselves, or I'm done with it. Can you clearly define like what it means to have boundaries and be in that nice middle space? Yes.
So I can use an example with my friendships, and I feel a little bit of low energy or just, or if I've had a rough day, needing to recoup, just sending that text like, hey, I've had a very eventful day. Is it okay if I give you a call back tomorrow or during the week? It's that validating that, yes, you're reaching out to me, but also, I'm running low on my energy right now and I need to. So it's all about how you word it and reframe it, right?
Yeah.
So by not responding to people, like you said, by cutting them off, if you value that relationship, that's not appropriately saying like, hey, I need this time.
Got it.
So, and it's more than okay to ask for that. And I think we have to kind of practice those things, because it feels hard to do. It feels hard to say, hey, I just need a moment to breathe.
Right.
But there also comes that mutual understanding too. Like, hey, if you ever need that moment to breathe, just let me know.
Right.
So having those open and honest conversations, those reciprocal conversations about what self-care looks like, what taking a breath looks like, what not taking a phone call looks like at the moment. That's very important, to have those open conversations amongst friends, amongst family, instead of disregarding them or making them feel as if they're not important. Being vocal about our importance to pour back into ourselves.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right. I'm glad you mentioned the phone, because it's like we need it. We have to have it. But it kills me. I go out and see people, having lunch or dinner, sometimes on a date or sometimes with their family, and they have the phone like right there. Sometimes they're not even using it, but it's just there just in case. I can't miss a call. I gotta get this text. I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
So we get so tied up and joined to the hip with our phones and with our technology that we forget to be mindful and present with others and even with ourselves.
You're right. Gosh, wow.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of trauma work. So is there any particular area around trauma that you see a lot where people neglect their self-care?
Oh, absolutely. So the thing is, when I have a client who's of older age, more than likely they have a long history of trauma, as opposed to our young people. Since they are younger, they may have a long history, but up to their age. Okay. But as opposed to a 70-year-old person, they may have like extensive trauma that they have not checked, you know, which makes it even harder because they've gotten into those routines of not taking care of themselves properly or not, you know, seeking professional help, you know. So it's harder in a way, not harder. I don't like the word harder. It's more challenging to kind of sell someone who may be of older age the importance of self-care and boundaries, right? Because you know, they may be so intertwined and intermingled into their own personal community, their own friendships, family, children, grandchildren, all of these things that they've pushed themselves aside over and over, decades, over and over, just to be, you know, here for others. So it's really hard when somebody has had that long history of not having boundaries, not speaking up and saying, "Hey, I'm not feeling my best today." You know? Or, "Hey, can I give you a call back this weekend?" It's a lot tougher for them to have those conversations because they are the elder of their family. They are the person who is the guide, you know, who is the healer. But the guide and the healer, they need time too.
They do. They do.
They do.
Right.
They do.
Right. So what are some historical things that someone who is maybe in their 70s, just, I don't know if you mentioned the age, but let's say in their 70s, what are some historical things that they might have experienced that really might make it hard for them to realize that they're experiencing trauma? Like maybe what was the climate like, or what were family relationships like back then? I know that's before your time, but you know, what are they bringing in that helps you realize that this is based off of their generation as opposed to some other issue?
Right. So I can give an example. So a person that's in their 70s, as a younger person, they might have been in a household where they might have been the older sibling. So when parents were out working, doing what they needed to do, they might have been parentified, taking care of their younger siblings, making dinners, doing laundry, all of those kind of, in a way, selfless things. But still, you know, they had to do what they had to do in the moment because the family is a working system. They had to function how they could back then. And that happens now.
It does. It does.
They're parentified as well, but with older generations, you know, they continue to take that type of selflessness. Okay, I have to cook, I have to do this. It's not necessarily a group effort, but I'm the oldest, I got to do it. I'm second mom, or
that's
I'm second
so
dad, you know. And then that kind of spans over into their romantic relationships, taking care, making sure their, you know, partner is okay, making sure when they have kids, hope my child is okay, helping with homework, all of these things. And then riddled in there might be physical abuse, sexual trauma, you know, things that they have not mentioned because, you know, historically and culturally, sometimes we brush things under the rug. You know,
sometimes people don't even know it's trauma.
Right.
I get amazed when people, you know, come into my office and say something like, "My husband called me a bitch." And they say that just like they're eating, you know, going out for dinner or something. Like, no, that's abuse. And they don't know.
Very much so. And, you know, because that's the norm for them. So it's as if that's what I've seen in my household. So, you know, that's how I carry out my household as an adult.
Right.
But in actuality, those things, of course, you and I both know, that's abuse. That's abuse. That's not okay. And you know, it's gone unchecked for so long to the point where all of those things, those different types of abuse, they're trickling down to. Well, my grandma speaks to my mom like this.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So why can't I speak to my mom like this? You know?
Absolutely.
Right. So
and you have, and then you start dating someone, and and they you allow them to talk to you that way, and you talk to them that way. Yeah, and then you have children. Yeah,
exactly, and that continues that cycle of abuse.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yes.
What do you see? Is there any trend that stands out the most? Well, we're talking about abuse. So are you seeing more sexual, physical, verbal, substance abuse, child neglect? What are you seeing the most in your practice?
What's interesting is that I feel like all of them intertwine.
Oh, wow.
You get what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
So if a child has experienced some sort of neglect or abuse as a young person, or have even been exposed to substance abuse, obviously they're more likely to engage or continue to engage in those things that their parents would do.
Yes.
So being verbally abusive to their peers or authoritative figures or anybody like that, or going down the road where they use substances, because I've seen my parents do that. And there have been cases too, a trend that I've seen where parents have used with their children.
Yes.
Yeah.
They think that's cool. Like, yes, they think that's the cool thing to do.
Exactly.
Or that's the way of relating or connecting with your child, is smoking a joint with them.
Right.
No, it's not.
Right. No, it's not. So with those trends, it can be challenging again to educate, especially if I'm working with teens.
Yes.
It can be challenging to educate them on the fact that what you have experienced is abuse, not negating the fact that it was. Right. Because it can have such a huge impact and influence on the way you carry out your romantic relationships or your friendships or your likelihood to use substances or be in domestic violence situations, trouble with the law. All these different things, I feel like they connect, because a lot of my families I've seen with the parents, they neglected as children, their parents used as well, then their parents started to get them involved with either drug use, transporting, so different things like that. So they become a part of that world because my parent knows this. So, okay, well, I don't need a legitimate job, so because I know this world too. You know,
absolutely.
So, yes, definitely. It's all interconnects. That's the trend that I mostly see for sure.
Wow. So really, it all connects from one thing to the next.
Absolutely.
And the interesting thing is, a lot of times people don't even know what it looks like.
Right.
Because as you said, it's intergenerational. We're doing it from one generation to the next.
Absolutely.
What are some things that we can look for? So let's say, I have a teenage daughter, whatever, and we're gonna do something similar to this in a little bit. But you mentioned teenagers, so like, a teenager isn't going to know themselves that they're traumatized. Well, some of them will, but a lot of times teenagers are young and they're wanting to hang out with the crowd and have fun and play around. So they're not looking. How can a caregiver know what to look for in their own teen and whether or not they might be experiencing some form of trauma, especially like you said, if the caregiver has contributed to it?
Exactly. So something that I bring my parents in, of course, psychoeducation is really, really important. So not only educating the child about the different types of abuse and what that may look like, but also educating their parent. Although confidentiality, yes, but it's really important for the parents to learn the skills and the terms. It's just important as it is for the teen. So because how can you continue to learn and grow and educate one another if you're not speaking to one another?
Yeah.
So educating both the child and the parent and talking about isolating behaviors. Okay.
Oh, good. I love that.
Right. Like, is my child staying in their room? Is my child not communicating or engaging with me like they were? Are they lacking interest in the things that they once loved, like sports or games or spending time with friends or spending time out in the general area with family? Are they tired? Do they have nightmares or sleep issues, or are they easily angered? You know, because that can definitely be an indicator of trauma too, because they're outside. People who have been traumatized, they easily get outside of their window of tolerance.
Yeah.
So they're constantly battling in survival mode all day because they experienced all this trauma. And, you know, parents and even the teens are left to wonder why. Like, why do I feel this way?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Well, it's because your family system is functioning in survival mode 24/7.
Yes. What do you think about being intentional? Because I love that you mentioned survival mode, and a lot of us exactly are doing that. We are trying to get from one moment to the next.
Right.
What about making decisions that are intentional and that you've actually thought through them? You know, you've actually thought about the consequences and the outcomes of what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. And you're right. Like you said, being intentional about that. Practice. I always put it to my young people as this is a practice. Okay. So when we leave session, I at least want you to practice effective communication one time.
One time. Yeah. Love it.
Just one.
You don't have to change the whole system. Just try it once.
Just once, because it's a process. And if we flood a person with too many challenges or too much, you know, homework and all these different things, they'll be less likely to truly engage in that practice.
Exactly.
So one time, and pulling in the parent to do the same. Okay, so if your child is effectively communicating with you, what are some ways that we can respond in the moment to validate? You know,
very good.
Yeah, because what I noticed with all of my teens is that they just want to be heard.
That's all.
That's it.
That's all they want. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yes.
But I want to, in light of all of this, are there any myths that people have, Black people have, that keep them from getting to what you're talking about? Like, what are I'm trying to think of the word, but the self-defeating thoughts or whatever that we have that keep us trapped and not where you're trying to get your clients to be.
Right. Okay. So the biggest myth with my clients and families about radical self-care is that, that's for wealthy people.
Oh,
I don't have the money to do that. So most often I've seen that when I tell a person about self-care, they're like, I don't have the funds to go on an extravagant trip. I can't go get my nails done or my hair done or go to the spa. And that's when we have to take a step back and say, okay, well, radical self-care is just unapologetically doing things that make you feel good, and that does not have to look like an extravagant trip,
right?
But it can be taking time, like I said, to take a nap.
Yes.
Getting some sun on your face, sitting, if you have like some chairs outside, getting that sun on your face, or going for a walk for 15 30 minutes, or even family oriented, playing a board game, going outside to play basketball with each other, or whatever sport, soccer, whatever sport you all may be interested in, or venturing out in the community, because there are you know, these are unconventional, but there are holistic shops, there are Black businesses, there are Black pop-up businesses,
pop-up shops,
right? And then more often than not, they'll know what the next community event may be. And it may cost little to nothing. So it's just important to brainstorm, to think outside the box. It doesn't always take money to pour back into yourself and have self-care, and it also doesn't always take money to make memories.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, absolutely.
It's funny because some of my best memories with my daughter are things that we've done for free. Like, she absolutely loves this little water. Well, we bought a water gun at the dollar store for like $1. And she loves for us to just put water in that thing and just spray each other. It's fun. You know, it doesn't hurt. I don't like the water all over my walls or whatever in the house, so we have to take it outside. But you know, it's so simple and it's so much fun. Absolutely. And it helps me to just debrief from the day and all the clients that I've worked with and all the trauma that we absorb it too. Absolutely. You know? Yeah. And as caregivers and people who are out here doing this work, can you imagine what it's like you said, for the 70-year-old, grandmother who's absorbing her husband, her children, her grandchildren, sometimes her great-grandchildren, sometimes her nieces, her nephews. She's absorbing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. And again, those things are so important. Like, radical self-care is important to do out loud. Open.
Oh, love it. Yes.
It shouldn't be hidden. It should be openly talked about, openly done, so that our children can form their own self-care routines and find the value in, setting boundaries with other people and, pouring back into their own cup so they can continue to give and give and give and not get burnt out. Burnout is not just for clinicians.
No, it's not.
Exactly.
Right.
Burnout is for anybody and everybody who is constantly going and constantly moving all day, even young people.
Yeah.
So we just really have to live out loud when we're practicing our self-care, so our young people can understand the importance of it too and continue to pass that down.
Love it. And you hit the nail on the head, which is breaking the curse. You know what I mean? Like, breaking the curse, because we do this from one generation to the next. We have a responsibility to step out and do something different and teach the next generation how to do it.
Yes.
I love it. Are there any resources? You've named a lot of things though, that are free that people can do. Just to be radical about their self-care. So I love it. Is there anything that they can read up on? I know, I serve a big faith-serving community, so I don't know if you know any scriptures or any books, anything like that. If not, we can keep on going.
Well, I was going to bring up podcasts.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
I don't know if it would be for the younger people because she is pretty candid. It's Small Doses by Amanda Seales.
Okay.
And Amanda Seales is a comedian.
Okay.
So she has weekly topics, and she may bring in a person that she likes, like a close friend or somebody that's in a different field, and they talk about a specific topic. So one of her episodes, she did one on self-care.
Oh, love it.
And of course, like I said, it may be more so geared towards adults, but it's free-flowing, it's super candid. Like, she is talking as if she's your homegirl. Okay?
I love it.
I love it too. Yes. So talking about that guilt and, maybe even feeling some shame about taking that time and like that generational kind of how those mindsets are ingrained and what self-care could look like and why it's so important. She definitely dives in head first about that. And in general, she has really, really good topics. Talks about being an empath or effective communication or being the only Black person at your job.
Yes.
Yes. Different things like that. But
what's the name again? So I'll make sure I put that in the show notes.
Yes, it's Small Doses.
Small Doses, okay.
By Amanda Seales.
Amanda Seales, got it.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Ms. Jones, now we're going to switch to a segment of the show that we call What's Good. What's Good is a part of the show where we apply this information into what could be a real life scenario for our listeners. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, meet Tamika. Tamika is the mother of 3 children. She works long hours to provide for herself and her children as a single mother. She is a licensed therapist and works long hours for low pay at a community health center. After she gets home, she barely has enough time to do homework with her children, prepare their dinner, read them a story, and put them to bed. Even while doing that, she sometimes has to answer to calls after hours. She wants desperately to find time for herself, but she can't seem to do it with the demands of work and parenting. How would you suggest that she engage in radical self-care?
Yes. Okay. So this kind of goes a little bit back to what I was talking about as far as seeking guidance and support. Asking for help is a part of self-care. Also, it can be a little hard to have these conversations, but is there anything that your job entails that may be too much for you? Because sometimes what I've noticed with community mental health and, you know, different agencies is that they will push and push and push and add so many things to the plate.
Yes, yes.
that a person who isn't getting paid the most is doing the most.
Mm-hmm.
The most work, doing a lot of jobs at once. And that falls into setting boundaries. It can be hard. It can be so hard because, especially being a single parent, it can be so hard because you know you need that job in order for everybody else to survive in your home. But it can be a good conversation to have by saying, hey, you know, I'm getting burnt out. I really do want to provide the best services to my clients and to the community. What can we do? Okay.
Amazing.
Yes. And then
amazing.
Kind of moving into her household, because you had mentioned that, you know, she has 3 kids. It's hard for her to cook and, you know, read them stories at night and get them bathed and ready. I would upfront ask her, the first thing I would be is like, do you have any supports, like family support, somebody that you trust, absolutely trust anybody? Do you have can you make like a little schedule to kind of keep things in line? So maybe all 3 of the kids can read a book to each other.
Oh, wow.
One book.
Oh, I'm gonna try that one. I like that. Read your own bedtime story.
But not only does that kind of like help with getting everybody settled, but obviously we're still learning how to read. We're learning how to interact. We're doing something in a healthy manner where it's educational. And if that can't be done, I understand too, because sometimes there aren't large gaps in ages between kids. But you know, if you have kids who can read,
I love it.
That's something that you could supervise.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
That could definitely be a learning moment.
Yes.
A learning tool as well.
Just mention that they can help with dinner. Yeah. You know, you can get you some little hot dogs. I love having like a hot dog night. My husband don't like it too much, but I get you some hot dogs, get your own mustard, ketchup out there, and you know, a little side of beans or whatever. You just heat that up. They can participate with that.
They can, and it's bringing everybody into be cooperative and help. Like, who knows? Having your kid, if they're old enough, kind of look on Pinterest with you. And
love it.
Like fun, simple ideas that kind of put together.
I love
and
that.
And that can be a form of self-care too.
It is.
You know?
It is, yes.
Yes.
And it's teaching responsibility.
Absolutely.
And that's so important as well.
Very.
Wow, Ms. Jones, you have added a wealth of knowledge for our readers today, and I am very, very thankful
Thank
to
you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, just to be clear, where can our guest find you?
Yes. So you can find the page on Instagram at SoTherapistAF. If you have any business inquiries or any questions or want to give any feedback, you can also slide into my DMs.
Okay.
and let me know. I really do love collaboration. I love feedback. I love that community aspect of Instagram. So please feel free to add feedback or have fruitful communications. Again, we are a community, so we have to support each other, uplift, help, you know, kind of build on each other's skills. So please do that. Also, if you want to contact me as well, you can contact me through email. And that is SoTherapistAF@gmail.com. So,
love it.
Yes.
That'll be in the show. Both of those will be in the show notes as well.
Okay.
Very good. Ms. Jones, it's been a pleasure. Did you want to add something else? I'm sorry.
Well, just really quick. So something that you mentioned about having a doula is really important. So my best friend, she has a page as well on Instagram called Peacefully Bumpin'. And she does placenta encapsulation. She does so that is a part of self-care as well.
It is.
Our mothers.
That helps with the postpartum, right?
Yes.
Because I did that.
Yes.
With both of my babies. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that could be a good resource as well for mothers, whether they're single mothers or just whatever walk of life they come from. So,
sounds good.
Yeah.
Can she ship that all over the U.S. or is it local?
I think she would be able to ship it all over the U.S. Yes.
Okay. I'm a big fan of that. That
Yes.
really helped me with my stuff. So yeah, I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you, Miss Jones. You have inspired me, as I know you have many others, and we really thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Hey, you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Black Marriage and Family Therapy Matters podcast, where we connect Black families to Black therapists. Since you've listened all the way through, come on in and join the family. If you haven't done so yet, please join our free community where we offer weekly trainings and monthly giveaways. We can be found on Facebook under the Black Marriage and Families Matter Facebook group. And since you're serious about joining our family, we also invite you to join our All In campaign, which signifies your commitment to go all in, not only for yourself, but in helping us reach more people by downloading this podcast wherever you are listening to it, leaving us a review, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. This really helps us reach more people and change more lives. After all, Dr. Martin Luther King once said, we can all get more done together than we can apart. With that said, I want to encourage you to share this episode with just 3 other people who you think might also benefit from our community and what we are offering, with the hopes that all of you can join our All In campaign. When you're done, simply click the link All In campaign in the bio and receive a free copy of my course entitled Goodbye Toxicity, which is valued at $297. This course will help you to work through some of the difficult experiences that arise in most of our relationships, and it's completely free to you with your commitment to join our All In campaign. We look forward to connecting with you every Monday and Wednesday. Thanks for listening.